If you want to know your future in-laws really well, take an international trip with them. That's what I did in 2014. I went to Germany, France, and Italy with my future mother-in-law and my future sister-in-law, and we had a lot of adventures. A German wedding is an all-day affair. We started at 10 a.m. and didn't get back to our Airbnb till 3 a.m. the following morning. We started at 10 a.m. at the bride's parents' house with pretzels and radishes, bright and early. In 2014, the World Cup was going on, and so Germany was playing in the World Cup in 2014, so soccer was everywhere. We did not have a clue what the announcers were saying, but we had a ton of fun just being part of the crowd and the environment as the World Cup was happening. Bavaria is a section of southern Germany, and the Neuschwanstein Castle is located in Bavaria. It's located at the top of a hill, and it overlooks a small city and also a lake. It kind of looks like Sleeping Beauty's castle because Sleeping Beauty's castle was created after this one. There's no train or trolley or any sort of transportation that will take you to this castle. We had to hoof it on foot uphill about 2 miles. But once you got to the top, it's an absolute breathtaking sight, and we got to take a small tour of the castle as well. The words on this gate translate to "work makes you free," and this was the gate that was at the entrance of the Dachau concentration camp. It was an experience that will stay with you for a very, very long time. This was the row of barracks that was at Dachau concentration camp. If you look really close through those trees, you can see a small white building, and that's the administrative offices. But every rectangle that you see is a place where a barrack once stood. What's super interesting about this concentration camp is that it's literally surrounded by almost a jungle. There is lush green vegetation surrounding this gray, desolate place. And this is a memorial for some of the victims of the Holocaust. After all of our adventures in Germany were over, we boarded an extremely bumpy flight to France. When we visited France, we only had a couple days, so we just decided to make our stop in Paris the most memorable one that it could be. First stop in Paris was the Louvre. This is an absolute huge facility. If you look real close on the right-hand side of the pyramid, that's where you're going to see the entrance. That's a big line of people. You go down the stairs, and that's where you enter the Museum of All Artwork. Pretty much, if you look at this picture, there's a building on the left, the middle, and also the right. That's where all the artwork is located. We were there for a whole day and barely made a dent in one of the sections, but we had to make sure we saw the Mona Lisa. When you visit Paris, you have to make sure that you see the Eiffel Tower. We saw the Eiffel Tower during the day. We didn't get to go at night when it was all lit up, but still seeing it in the day was just truly magical. Construction on the Eiffel Tower started in 1887, and it was done in 1889. After we completed our adventures in Paris, France, we got on another small flight to Italy. When we were in Italy, our main focus was Rome and the Vatican, but we did make a couple side stops along the way that were definitely super memorable. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, people were packed in this Colosseum. I think it's super interesting that if you look below the stage, you'll see the maze, and that's the path that the gladiators took before they went out to fight on the Colosseum stage. When we left our Airbnb in the morning, there was none of these flower petal creations, but when we got back to our Airbnb at night, flower petal creations just lined the entrance of the Vatican, and these were pictures that were biblical representations. A huge highlight of our adventures in Rome was having a private breakfast in one of the Pope's courtyards. Everything at this breakfast was from the Pope's farm, from the eggs, milk, cheese. It was all from the Pope's farm. Part of the private breakfast tour was also having a private artwork tour. This was a fresco painted by Raphael, and it is the School of Athens. A fresco is a painting that is painted into wet plaster. So when the plaster dries, the painting dries along with it as well. To this day, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law still laugh about this experience. We visited Sperlona Beach on the Mediterranean Ocean. We couldn't tell you how we got there, other than we followed the people on the train in the swimsuits. But we did hear that George Clooney owns a house along this coastline. This was a sight that we saw every day on our travels in Rome. We always found the gelato place on every single block in Italy. We usually went there twice a day. Most of the time we got 2 scoops, but gelato is just something that you can just find in Italy. It just doesn't taste the same anywhere else. An international trip is really eye-opening, and it is truly something that I learned a lot from. I got to see how other cultures live their life, what they eat, how they interact, and I also learned how to interact and communicate with my future family members. So it really just was an adventure that I'll just always have with me.